Hey guys, welcome back. Pugs here. This is the second part of my Squish Squash. Yeah, there's only two parts. This one hurts me. This one hurt me a lot to write. Honestly, last part hurt me even more, especially the last part. But this one hurt too, in a very completely different way. And when I first wrote this, I had the first part done within like a month. There was that one MCC. Yeah, one MCC, where it was Tommy and Purple together, and then, like, a year later, I had finished the second part, and almost exactly a year later, I published it. So yeah, now, almost exactly almost a year after that, we're, like, a little under a month after that, in 1 month, it would be a whole year, so I could have waited, I didn't want to wait. Anyway, not the point. Point is, yeah, it's gonna hurt. So, same trigger warnings as last time, death, all that. It is, hold up, let me look. Well, no, this one's different, because it's, sickness, death, Tommyinnit bashing, pain, dissociation, miscommunication, betrayal, funeral, arguments, dream, and once again talks about Wilbur. Wilbur's not in it, but yeah. Anyway, let's start, okay? Yeah, okay. Editor Pugs here, there's also drugs and drugging. Should have mentioned that, but I didn't. Okay, bye. Wilbur's motto, well, one of them anyways, was never trust an American. Which is completely ironic, considering he himself was American. So really, I should never trusted him. He's very hypocritical like that. Wilbur, she sighed. Wilbur had a lot of problems. Even before our separation, you were just too young. So my question is, why are you talking to me about this? You're the only one who understands what it's like to be hurt by someone over and over and over and stay with them. So what do? You try talking it out. You're still technically married and divorce is what? Yeah, I guess. A few minutes of silence as they watch the sunset. Thank you. I'm just gonna go home and just think. All right. He was gone. Tommy was gone. Tommy was taken from him once again. His best friend, his squash, was gone, and it was all thanks to Dream. He should have never come here, never thought he could get away, never trusted Dream, never trusted his brother. Never left the house this morning. Should have told Tommy earlier, but he didn't. And now the others hated him. The tears came fast. There was no stopping them. They poured down his cheeks, falling onto the grass before. He cried for hours, screaming in agony, screaming that he was sorry, that he would do better. His body shook with the force of the sobs. He couldn't stay here anymore, couldn't stay in this spot. He had to find Tommy, had to leave, to get out, get away from the lies he's told. So he got up and stumbled away, leaving behind his heart and soul. He left behind what was supposed to be his happy ending, left behind everything good about him. He didn't deserve to hold it, to have hope. And for a moment he was glad. He felt relief for just a second from the guilt that slowly began to suffocate him. But it soon faded. His happiness was gone. Tommy, he called, voice raspy and shaky. Tommy, please come out. There wasn't a response. Only silence echoed through the air, broken by the harsh breathing and sobbing. He sat against the wall for hours, just crying and thinking until his head hurt. He didn't know how long he stayed there, long enough for his stomach to protest loudly. He got up, feeling weak and empty, but he couldn't eat. The silence was suffocating, strangling him as he made his way upstairs, up to their room, up to Tommy's room. He opened the door, wincing at the creak that seemed too loud. For a moment he was afraid that nothing would be there, that all of Tommy's stuff would be gone, but everything was where it had been the morning before. Everything was the same, except Tommy's bed was empty, cold. Nothing there, nothing to cling on to, nothing left, just emptiness. He wanted Tommy back. He wanted to meet his son. He wanted his husband back. Tommy would make everything okay, would make everything all right. Everything would be all right if he were just here. He wants him back. Why? Why did he mess up? Why couldn't he tell them? Why did he mess up again? He let out a sigh, eyes falling shut. The emotion washed over him once more. He stumbled forward, falling onto his bed and curling up. He closed his eyes, tears flowing freely once more. He held a pillow close, letting himself cry until sleep overtook him. When he woke up, he was even more exhausted, the thought of leaving making him cringe. He was about to move, so he was unable to move, so he just laid there staring at the ceiling. He didn't move again until a knock on the door sounded out. "Come in," he called out, choking. "Hey, Purpled," Ghostboo called out. "Puffy wanted me to remind you and Tommy about counseling, and that just hurt." He didn't respond, couldn't. Instead, he turned to his side and started shaking again. "Purpled, are you okay?" Ghostboo cut themselves off as they opened the door. "What happened?" So Purple told him through tearless and hushed whispers. The entire time, Ghost just stood there, wiping snot and spit away, ignoring the small hissing noise. Purple had tried to pull away, but nothing was working. "It's not your fault, Purple. I've seen you around Tommy. You would never do anything to hurt him. Not on purpose. If you truly did it to try and keep Dream away, tell him that. Tommy's smart. He'll understand. Now let's go find him." "Tommy," the words slipped out of his mouth before he could stop them. I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm sorry." Tommy turned towards him, eyes blinking slowly, words slur. "What? What do you apologize about?" "I shouldn't have," he sighed, looking down. "If it weren't for me, Puns just shook his head. The boy was too out of it to understand. "Nothing, Tommy. Let's get you home." Tommy nodded, not even questioning, as the older stood up, grabbing his arm and guiding him out of the dirt cabin, looking back at Connor, who was still laying on the floor. Something lurched in his stomach as he walked toward the cabin. Praying that Tommy would be the one to open the door. It wasn't. His heart dropped. Techno was the one who opened the doors. Something lurched in his stomach as he walked towards the cabin, praying that Tommy would be the one to open the door. It wasn't. His heart stopped. Techno was the one who opened the door, brows furrowing. "Why are you here?" "Is he here?" Purple's voice shook as he asked, looking everywhere but at the other. "Please, I need to know he's okay." "He's not. What did you do?" At that, Purple broke, falling forward and sobbing, tears freezing down his face as he did so. It kind of bothered him, but did it really matter at this point? Behind him, Ghostbird did their best to explain while also keeping the other calm. By the time they were done, Phil had pulled everyone in and began to make tea. Purple finally began to calm down, the smell of lavender and firewood helping. Behind him, Techno and Phil were speaking slowly. "Purple, you need to tell us what you were doing with Dream and why you hadn't told us before," Ghostboo's voice echoed. And suddenly Purple was sobbing once again, the reality of the situation actually hitting him. 5 days. It had been 5 days since he had finally spilled what had happened. 6 days since his platonic partner had disappeared. 6 days since he had seen his brother. And Purple was breaking. Every second felt like torture. He had to force himself to be present multiple times, even going as far as having Tubbo, who had recently joined them, pissed, slap him into consciousness. Nikki had also joined the search, wanting to apologize to the youngest. So now they had 6 people: Purple, Ghost Boo, Tubbo, Phil, Techno, and Nikki. They all split up at first, asking people if anyone had seen anything, searching in every ravine, house, and lake. Days passed with absolutely nothing, no news of anything. "I think we should we need to try and find Dream," Jack had offered. "Hate to say it, but if we still can't find Tommy, then is a possibility he's killed." "No!" Purple snapped, whipping towards the other. "He's not dead. He's not. I would know." "You have to be rational." I am being rational, Jack. Tubbo's compass isn't spinning. Ghost Boo hasn't heard anything from Ranboo. So, therefore, he can't be dead. He needed to calm down. If he is, then I failed. Even if he is still alive, and that's a big if, then we need to find him soon. He stayed there for a while. He's not really sure why. He's probably just waiting for a sign, but of course, nothing comes. "God, can't you do something to shut him the fuck up?" Dream hissed, glaring at the cell. "I've tried. Nothing's working," Puns bemoaned in response. "I tried taping his mouth, and he fucking bit me. I tried weakness. It made him angry. Slowness only made him fight more. I tried knocking him out, but it's not working. Healing made him even more violent towards me." "All right." Dream pauses, groaning as the screams get louder. "Deal with it. I don't care how. Get it to stop." "Even if it means letting him get what he wants?" Puns asked, raising an eyebrow. Dream just turned to stare at him. "Get it to stop." "He taught me so many things. Some I will never be able to repay." Purple was never that religious. Sure, he knew that the gods existed, that the afterlife was real, that one day he would die and probably be doomed, but he wasn't religious, not like Tommy was. But sadly, praying is not one of the things he taught me. I asked him once, but he just replied, it's not something you are taught. It's something you learn. And I never pushed because it seemed reasonable enough. But now I wish I had, because maybe then I would know what to say. Maybe he could have listened better. Maybe he could have done more. He definitely could have told Tommy sooner. So here I am, asking for help. Please, Lady Death, Blood God, Prime, XD, Drista, hell, even Foolish. Please, just someone who can help me find him. Find both of them. I can't lose them. Tears began to stream down his face, knees pressed to the floor, hands pressed together. He took another breath. I know this is a lot to ask, considering I have nothing to give in return other than my undying gratitude and eternal worship, but still I ask. Please, Lord, give me one more chance. Just this one request is all I ask. He sits there for a while. He doesn't know why. Maybe he's waiting for a sign. Maybe he's waiting for Tommy to just show up, shrouded in his arms. He doesn't know. He stays there past sunset, only leaving when he finds himself falling asleep as he sits. He makes his way back to the mansion and finds Tubbo walking back and forth, bouncing a sleeping Michael. Ghost Boo is sitting on the couch watching the other two. Their heads snap up as he enters. "Where have you been?" Tubbo asks, voice quiet but strained. "I was praying," he admitted, hand carding through his hair. "I thought you weren't religious." "I'm not." "Then why?" "Tommy." Silence, and Tubbo took a breath. "I never did get why he prayed. Why he still believed in them after everything they've let happen to him. Like now, they don't care enough to keep him safe. So why does he still pray? Why does he worship him?" Honestly, I don't know either. I think by the end he did it more so out of the comfort it provided him. A routine of sorts, you know? Yeah, I guess. I don't suppose they tried to help you. He laughed in response, eyes tearing slightly as he shook his head. Of course not. Why would they even bother? They don't care. So what now? He honestly didn't know. What was he supposed to do now? Everyone he could trust was already looking. They even got Quackity's ghost and Charlie looking. Everyone else has been found and asked except Dream, Puns, and Fundy. Fundy? Tubbo asked, looking at the wand in confusion. No one's seen Fundy. He might note something. Where is he? I don't think Fundy would know anything, Perp. The echoing voice of Ghost Boo caused the blonde to jump. But he's the only one who we haven't talked to. He might. Even if he did, we can't exactly talk to him. He left with a lady a few days ago. Left Eric some cryptic letter, too. What lady? Tubbo asked, Spur's brow furrowing. What letter? He'd never seen her before. But Tommy seemed to know her. Or at least that's what Connor said. What did the lady look like, Boo? Connor said she looked a lot like Fundy, except she didn't have fox ears. Her, Fundy, and Yogurt went to say goodbye to Tommy. Offered to take him along, but then they had a talk and Tommy decided to say. Ghost Boo recited the story Connor had told him. But then a few hours later, Connor passed out, and when he woke back up, Tommy was gone. He thought maybe Tommy had left on his own. Holy shit. The goat hybrid breathed out. Holy shit, I thought Sally fucking died. He doesn't care about you, you know, Tommy asked one day. It startles him. It probably shouldn't. Dream finally stopped giving him potions to give to the teen after putting the beast in with him. Said something about nocturnal animals having a weird effect on the potion. Not that it was supposed to be a long-term potion. The fact that they had him on it for 3 weeks was already an entire thing, but it was Tommy. So really, him coming off of it and being slightly coherent, well, it shouldn't be surprising, but it was. He is my friend, is all Puns can think of saying in response. The blonde laughs. It sounds painful. You know, I thought that too, but he doesn't care about anyone, not even his son. A pause. He has a son. You know, Kana. Yeah, poor kid has suffered his entire life because of that bastard. He didn't know Dream had a son. He knew that Dream had a weird relationship with the blue-clad man. Sometimes he would mutter under his breath about him while he was plotting. Something about meeting his new brother or whatever. Puns never really cared to hear more about it. He's using it, Tommy whispers, hugging the sleeping beast close. Puns doesn't respond. Purpled is there, kneeling, head touching a stone in the Temstone. Puns knows that his brother knows he's there. However, neither have said anything. Not for another minute, and then Puns takes a step inside, and the younger sits up, stock still. Another few seconds, and then he turns. Puns also tenses. He hasn't seen his brother cry for who knows how long. Yet there he is, tears stream steadily. It gets awkward quickly. I didn't know you prayed, he says. Thought you knew better than that. He'd always taken pride in knowing what his brother would do, knowing how he was going to react. So he is very surprised when his brother stands, taking a few steps forward and whispering something. He can't hear him, a bit too far away for that. Speak up, kid. You know better than to mutter. This time, he's not as surprised. The younger darts over, grabbing Pun's arm, throwing him over his shoulder and out the door. He's quick, efficient. It's no more than a second before he hits the air, the air leaving him in a sharp and painful gasp. But Puns is just as quicker in fact. Within the next breath, he flips his brother, effectively trapping him sword against his neck. You're slow, he says. You let yourself go too much, not enough training. You're lucky I don't kill you now. Then he stands, walking away. As he gets farther, he can hear his brother let out a sob. I just want him back. Something in him tightens. Later, he finds himself in Dream's book room. The buzzing noise makes his jaw ache, but he doesn't leave, doesn't look away as Dream continues to write. He stands there waiting patiently. Do you need something? Dream asks, not even looking at him. We are friends, aren't we? Puns asks. The man pauses, then turns, giving Puns a weird look as he asks, Friends? Yes, friends. Dream laughs. Now what makes you think a stupid thing like that? Pun's heart drops. The buzzing gets louder. He flees. Have you ever taken a nap? Have you taken one that lasted 3 hours and you woke up not knowing who you were, where you were, or what day it was? Yeah? Well, that's how Tommy currently feels. Except this was because he was on drugs for so long, and then he wasn't. He woke up so disoriented and out of it that he barely registered the weight laid on his chest, effectively trapping him to the bed. He was so disoriented that it took a whole 5 minutes to realize, no, he wasn't trapped. Shroud was on his... Shroud? Tommy asked, voice cracking and high-pitched. The spider let out a long hiss and click, tapping something onto Tommy's arm. All right, bud, let me get up. I'll make some food. He cut himself off, realization like a weight crushing him. His son was alive and sitting on his chest, looking absolutely terrible. Shroud? He croaked out, heart beginning to race. He leant forward, carefully picking the spiderling up. His son seems to sob, letting out a long, pained hiss, wrapping his arms around Tommy. The blonde glances up, freezing when he sees Pun standing at the door. Take him and go. What? He has so many questions. Maybe it's better not to ask, but he can't stop himself. Why? Take him and get him the fuck out of here. Go fix my brother. He's been a whiny little bitch since you left. I can't fucking take it anymore. Besides, that thing has gotten on my last nerve. Tommy only pauses for a second, glancing at the other to make sure this wasn't a test or some sort of trap, and then he runs. The floor is cold and hard. It hurts his feet. His legs are shaky, but it doesn't matter because his son is here and he has to leave, and he's finally free. He runs down the hallway, not bothering to check any of the doors. He knew none of them would work. He may not have remembered much from when Puns first took him, but he remembered the portal leading to the door. He remembers the sluggish fear he felt as he heard the lock click and Puns putting key in his pocket. Behind him, he can hear his room door open. He can hear the sound of Dream yelling, followed by the sound of something being hit against metal. The next few seconds happen so quickly that Tommy can barely process it. Dream is suddenly in front of him, sword in his hand and lunging, almost hitting Shroud. Tommy turns just in time, and suddenly he's completely and utterly engulfed in pain. But then Puns is in front of him, pushing Tommy to the side, saying something to Dream. As he pushes Tommy, a key falls onto the floor. He points to a door Tommy had passed beforehand. Tommy doesn't hesitate, letting out a pain moan and grabbing the key, keeping a hold on Shroud the best he can. The spiderling held tightly onto his father, wrapping his arms around his neck and holding tightly. Puns continues holding Dream off for as long as he can, allowing Tommy to get through the door and a little down the hall before Dream does something, knocking him out. It doesn't take long for him to find the iron door, being the only one in the hall. He hears Dream calling out his name, slowly walking just behind him, teasing him, telling Tommy that if he turns around, he'll heal him. He'll let him live, that he'll let Tommy keep his little pet. He doesn't stop, not now that he has his son in his arms, not now that he has a reason more than just leaving on his own, not now that Dream had given him his son back, not now that Dream had given Tommy a reason to live. The door is thrown open before Tommy even gets to it. He's only a few feet away, but he's still not close enough. So when he sees Purple, he doesn't hesitate, placing a kiss on his son's forehead and before setting him down. Shroud, baby, go to Dad, he says. The spiderling looks at him, hissing sadly. Tommy smiles, managing to keep himself upright until his son skitters to the other blonde. And then he collapses, breathing labored. He hears his name called out on both sides, watches his techno. When did he get here? Stops above him, saying something before going further down the hall. He watches Techno and Dream begin to fight. Weird. He thought they were friends. Why would they fight? But then Purple is over him and he is saying something, and all Tommy can make out are the words Shroud, Safe, and Phil. And that's all Tommy needs. All worry drains from his body, a coldness spreading over him as he smiles as gently as he can. Purple is crying, covering Tommy's wounds, trying to at least put pressure on it. He keeps speaking, but Tommy can't hear a word of it. Everything was muffled and disorienting. Tommy doesn't worry. Tommy doesn't care because Purple is here. Purple had him. When Purple was around, everything was all right. Everything would be fine. He smiles, trying to tell him it would be all right as he lifts his hand. Purple places a hand over it, sobbing even harder. Hi, my Squish, Tommy says, voice soft. The first time Tommy died, it was absolutely horrible. His head had been sunken in, and for almost a week he was alone, angry and terrified until Wilbur joined him. He couldn't see him, but his company was appreciated, despite all the yelling and ranting. This time was different. This time, dying was peaceful, despite the large stab wound through his back. He felt no pain, almost like drifting off to sleep. This time when he woke, he was actually in the afterlife, not limbo, an actual afterlife. A woman in with a long purple dress and big black hat stood in front of him for a second before pulling him into a hug, apologizing for all he's gone through. Not long after, he was joined by Puns and Dream, although Dream was immediately taken away by the women. A few days later, Rambo, Ghostbur, Mexican Dream, Schlatt, and everyone else who had died soon joined them. Then almost a year passed, and suddenly more and more people began to join. Apparently, after Tommy's death, Tubbo, Phil, Techno, and Purple had all gone on a rampage, killing just about everyone and anyone and everyone who got in their way, or rather, those who got in their way who had harmed Tommy. Nicky and Jack were first, then the Empire. Sam and a few people he had only talked to once or twice, each one ranting about their own story and how unfair it was before realizing that it was useless when everyone else was dead too. But then, after almost the entire server had joined them, Tommy was almost surprised to see Puffy and Foolish. But then he had found out XD and Drista had brought them here. Then it was Tubbo, Michael, Phil, and Techno who joined, brought by Lady Death, who was apparently named Kristen, married to Phil, and Phil. Then, finally, taken by Lady Death herself, came Purple and Shroud. Out of everyone on the server, Tommy never expected it to be Purple who would seek him out, son in his arms. Not after everything he said. But there he was, pushing past Nicky and Jack, Puffy and Hannah, even Puns and his old dog, just to pull Tommy into a hug. Hi, my squash. Yeah, no, I'm not okay. I know it's not as long as the last one, but to be fair, this is like only half the words the other one is. So, boo on you. No, that's mean. I'm sorry. Yeah, my birds and dogs have been noisy the entire time, and I don't have money right now, not for a few days, and then maybe, yeah. Anyways, I hope you liked it. Let me know what you thought of this part versus the last part. And if you have any constructive criticism, please be nice. I have a fragile heart. Okay, love y'all. Bye.